Welcome to The Floor and the Framework, a video on building a society built on and. I'm Coral Russell. The philosophical foundation is that every person has an equal claim on the rights the government exists to protect. Those rights are not conditional on belonging to the right group. The history of LGBTQ+ people in America is one of a promise made and broken. Early movements appealed for constitutional protection, but the country responded with criminalization and systematic exclusion. Sodomy laws criminalizing same-sex intimacy existed across the U.S. They weren't overturned until 2003 and served as the foundation for broader exclusion, including denial of employment and military discharges. The Lavender Scare involved systematic police harassment and federal purges of LGBTQ+ employees. The blackmail trap argued that homosexuals were compromised because they had to hide their identity to avoid severe consequences, which the purge itself created. The American Psychiatric Association classified homosexuality as a mental disorder until 1973. This pathologization led to institutional harm, including commitment, electroshock, and behavioral modification programs. Conversion therapy remains legal in many states. Its continued practice uses institutional authority to impose a required form on a person's interior life, a mechanism widely condemned as ineffective and harmful. The Constitution establishes that equal protection prohibits laws treating people differently based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Bodily autonomy protects the right to make decisions about one's body, including gender-affirming medical care. The right to marry and form a family is constitutionally protected for LGBTQ+ people. Furthermore, equal protection prohibits discrimination in employment and housing based on sexual orientation and gender identity. LGBTQ+ people have the right to serve in the military. Policies conditioning service on the concealment of identity or renunciation of medical care violate the Equal Protection Clause. LGBTQ+ youth are vulnerable to family and institutional rejection, leading to a public health crisis. Legislative efforts that restrict support or require disclosure of LGBTQ+ status signal that their existence is dangerous and remove safety resources. Anti-trans legislation is unprecedented in civil rights history. These campaigns use the same refuted arguments of threat to children or conflict with others' rights. The constitutional answer, however, remains clear. Sexual orientation and gender identity are recognized grounds for asylum. The U.S. has an obligation toward asylum seekers, especially since it historically contributed to the criminalization of homosexuality globally. The Supreme Court's Dobbs decision both disclaimed revisiting same-sex rights and simultaneously invited it. The Equal Protection Clause is the answer, ensuring LGBTQ+ rights are not dependent on substantive due process reasoning. Full equality requires dismantling institutional expressions of caste, conversion therapy, discrimination, violence against trans women of color, family rejection, and schools that treat LGBTQ+ students as problems. Constitutional protection is the floor, and the framework is everything built above it. The promise of equal rights was always real enough to be worth holding the country to. The obligation this history generates is active and ongoing. The door is open for continued progress.